quick video today talk about BDRs, DVDRs. It's kind of a thing that if you're into independent films, I'm sure you're kind of used to getting a BDR or DVD-R when you get the product. A lot of my early stuff was put out on burnt disc, just for an example. The very first release of Morbid on Blu-ray was a BDR. Never heard no complaints. Usually there's no complaints about these things unless you just have a player that doesn't like them. Um, More recently, Paramount put out like The Ruins and a number of their catalog titles on a BDR. And normally you can't really tell that they're that, other than this, you know what to look for because usually the cover is a little bit shinier or whatnot. Although here lately they've got a little bit more clever with them and things don't seem that noticeable other than the blue bottom or the weird bottom. They have a weird bottom. I'll show more of that in a minute. But more companies, like whatever company this is, they put out Doll Syndrome on a BDR. Um, Sleazebox put out their stuff on BDRs back in the day, and DVDRs too. And I never had no complaint about them. Although, what brings me to this subject in general was, as I was reviewing the recent SRS Cinema Amityville AI, which is a wide DVD release, and it was, to my surprise, a DVD-R, which I did not expect. And I went and I looked at some of the other ones that I have reviewed recently, and like two out of the five I think were also DVD-Rs, which is strange for a wide release because most of the time they don't actually do that. Now, in the case of SRS Cinema, they've released pretty much all of my stuff at one time or another, and you'll find like Screwdriver and Morbid got a release double as a BDR. Door One, Five Doors of Hell got a BDR. They did limited edition DVDs originally, where it was very limited, where they did DVD-Rs. But of course, when they put out the wide release, it was a burnt, or not a burnt disc, but a pressed disc. And up till I guess last year, and I didn't know it, SRS always did wide releases that were pressed disc. Well, I looked up some information on this because it got me thinking, like, are we moving more toward a BDR thing? Or are we moving toward, more toward a DVD-R thing? And sure enough, this was the post I found on Facebook. So since this took me, it's a little bit strange. I found this post on SRS Cinema's Facebook page, which was posted last year, basically saying they didn't want to make a debate on if DVD-R is as good as DVD or BDR is as good as Blu-rays. But to sum up what it basically says with the fewer stores that we have these days that are carrying DVDs, they don't put everything on DVD anymore. They do limited edition Blu-rays, which are BDR, and they do digital. But they was wanting to know which movies you might possibly want on DVD-R. It says on there that, the limited number of DVDs that you press is 500. And basically they don't want to do a DVD run of 500 for something that may not sell 150, and they can put them out there for less costs on DVD-Rs. And they say that DVD-Rs are as good and will basically give you the same quality and whatnot as a press disc, as long as you take care of it, don't touch the bottom of it, basically as long as you're careful with it, you can't sling it around. And I mean, that may be true. I mean, I decided that since he said this, I would go and look and see how some of my oldest DVD-Rs actually are, which I will say this much up front: BDRs, which like Blu-rays, have a protective coating on them, which makes them less vulnerable to scratches and whatnot, where DVD-Rs can scratch fairly easily if not handled with care. But we will see in a test here how they look after a while. So I guess the news here is that SRS Cinema kind of went through with what they said they were going to do, and they started releasing some of their newer titles in DVD-R form because I guess it helps with sales. As a person who has had movies released through SRS Cinema, I had some that, I guess didn't sell as well as others. I had some that sold pretty good, but I had some that also went to liquidation. I had some where they were actually trying to sell them to me back, which unfortunately I didn't take because I didn't really have nowhere to put them and whatnot. Um, the thing is like you said in the post, if you read all of it, there is sooner or later, if they can't liquidate them, they kind of end up in the landfill, which is kind of a bummer to think your movie might end up in the landfill. So in that regard, if it's going to keep getting physical copies of things out, I'm fully okay with the DVD-Rs. I'm fully okay with BDRs. I just wish that they would always just say up front, which on the SRS website, it does say up front that it is a DVD-R, which I didn't look originally when I did the reviews for these. But on the like MVD website where that sells these, it doesn't say they're their DVD-R. So you might want to use caution if it is something that bothers you. Personally, do I think that there's a big difference in DVD-R and BDR? Or, excuse me, DVD-R and pressed DVDs? Not really. BDR, not really had a problem with that either. Like I said, it's usually a player thing. Now, I had a Xbox that didn't want to play some of the SRS Blu-rays for whatever reason, but when I put them in my other 4K player, they played just fine. So I guess it kind of varies there. But then again, I've had my Joker 4K from Warner Brothers recently, which is 100% pressed. Did not want to play in my player for whatever reason. So, and I guess it's maybe it had that stuff on the bottom and needs rubbed off. I don't know. But either way, this is the recent SRS Cinema releases I've reviewed or am reviewing that are on the channel. Amityville Turkey Day, which I wasn't aware of at the time. Now, just looking at that, it feels like a normal disc. When you pop it out, if I'm not mistaken, you'll see this is a DVD-R. Other than that blue, you can't really tell. Now, I take care of my stuff, so therefore, you know, if you throw yours around, it may be a problem. But these also, I should note, are not, made. Ron Bonk doesn't make these at home on his computer, burning them off disc by disc and then signing them, the top of them with a Sharpie. And if you do that for your movie, that's fine. I've did that for my movies, but he doesn't. This is Savage Vengeance, which, as you can see, it's a smoother surface for this for whatever reason. But you'll notice when you look at the bottom of this that it is a pressed disc. But other than that, from a bird's eye view, if you look at this and you look at this, other than this one having more of a, say, more rough top, this one's a little more shiny, which is odd because usually the shinier ones are the DVD-Rs, but not in this case. That one is a professionally pressed DVD-R. This one is a full-fledged regular version. So if you pick up a copy of Amityville Turkey Day, it may be a DVD-R because they probably didn't think they could sell as many copies of Amityville Turkey Day as they can the remake of Savage Vengeance. But then, here is Amityville Bigfoot. It's a newer movie. It has a smoother texture on the top, and it is a pressed disc. As I noted before, I did a review for Amityville AI, which should be up as a company piece to this. There it is. Some kind of a rougher top on it. And when you pop it out the case and you look, it is a DVD-R, which, it doesn't have a scratch on it because, like I said before, I do take care of my stuff. So we're kind of 2 and 2 on recent releases. I don't really know the date. I think these are probably older though. But I do wonder, like, these are the last few that came to me. So this one, Amityville, the last Amityville movie, feels a little rough. DVD-R. Which these also feel like the old Sleazebox DVDs, by the way. Which, if you didn't know better, you would have thought those were pressed until you looked at the bottom of them. Amityville Backpack, the last one we'll show you in the list of recent Amityville ones, has a bit of a smoother top on it, is pressed. So yeah, they're 50% here. 3 that are pressed, 3 that are not. So for some reason, maybe these came out first, these didn't sell as well, so they made the decision to go that with these. If these are, this may be the norm now, which I've not gotten, their like their retro line in a while. Maybe they went to DVD-R on that. I don't know. But that being the case, let's go back and let's look at probably the oldest DVD-R in my collection. While I don't have an exact date on when I first purchased Scalps from Amazon on DVD, I remember I got this thing. It's a Retro-Rama release. I had no clue this was going to be a DVD-R when I got it. And when I first got it, I was a little bit taken back by it. I wasn't really as educated on DVD-Rs. I thought I had a bootleg that was sent to me. So I complained to Amazon. They sent me back another copy of it. Lo and behold, it too was a DVD-R. So this is what this looks like. Still looks nice. See that shininess there? That's kind of like the early way you could tell it was a DVD-R back in the day. Pop it out. And yeah, it is a DVD-R. But I don't know if you can tell from this video, but that looks crystal clean. There isn't a scratch on it, isn't a scuff on it. But like I said, I do take really good care of my stuff unless I get like a loose disc in the mail or something happens if I loan them out, which I kind of quit doing because of reasons that things get scratched up and I get pissed about it. But yeah, this thing still works fine, still plays fine, and this is well over like 10 years ago that I got this thing. It says 2004, so I think I picked it up probably a couple years after. I think I picked it about 2010 or something like that. But yeah, it was old when I got it, and it's even older now. And there's no, like, the disc doesn't look like it's rotting. It doesn't look like it's falling apart, and it still plays fine. So maybe, you know, even though it's not the norm that we would want, just because we've been kind of programmed to not like it, maybe DVD-Rs are okay as long as it keeps physical media in our hands, and keeps everything from just being digital. So yeah, but hey, while we're here, we'll take a look at some of the Blu-rays. Now, not all companies are doing this, but Paramount, for one, seems to be going out of its way to put its older stuff back out, but put it on a BDR. This is the original release of The Ruins. This is the one that just came out recently. It looks fresher. This was, of course, an old rental, so it looks a little bit worse for wear. But when you pop it open, that's what that looks like. It looks like, bear with me, like I said, it's a former rental. You take it out, then there's your typical what a Blu-ray looks like. And this looks like it's kind of getting some disc rot in it, oddly enough. Might want to watch that. Maybe this was a bad example, nonetheless. But here's the new ones, the new Ruins. There is that. This is usually a sure sign that your disc is going to be a BDR if you get it from Paramount. You pop this out, and see, it looks like that. That is the comparison of what a BDR looks like compared to a regular Blu-ray disc. And like I said, since we're doing this video, I have just found out live and at 5 that apparently my Ruins press disc is worse for wear. But hey, if I didn't have my my new one, I would be pretty upset. But hey, maybe this one's a casualty of war. Maybe it went down the shitter. But at least I've got this version, which is still there. Because if this wasn't out, I might have trouble getting this again because I think it might be out of print. So, while we're on the subject, though, like I said, companies are doing that. Sony is putting out all their old stuff on a press disc. Any old Sony title that I've gotten on a Blu-ray has been pressed. But their DVDs, on the other hand, there's some stuff they're just putting on DVD. They're releasing under this little label here, the SP, which means Sony Pictures. Their DVDs are professionally pressed DVD-Rs. That is shiny, which these are also in cahoots with Echo Bridge, or at least what's remaining of Echo Bridge. I guess they soaked up the assets. This is a much shinier cover there. But when you take it out and look at it, you'll see the typical blue for DVD-R. Plays fine, though. Looks good. It doesn't look like a bad quality. As long as it's professional. Like, if you're getting an independent film, yeah, it may look a little bit worse for wear if they don't know what they're doing. If you get a professional one, it's going to look like this. So you're not going to be able to tell too much about it. But yeah, basically it was just a thing come across my airwave here. It was like, well, maybe we're moving towards more wide releases of DVD-Rs. I'm not saying you're going to walk into Walmart and find a DVD-R or a BDR, but when you order stuff online, be aware that it may be burnt, aka burnt. It's just like, basically it's cheaper disc. It's a cheaper disc at the end of the day is what it is. They call it what they want to call it. It's a lesser quality of disc. It's a more affordable disc. You can get lesser amounts of them printed, but I have absolutely no indication that there's anything wrong with them. If anything else in this video, the actual rental that's been around for ever since like 2009, 2010, whenever this movie came out, it is bronzing or whatever. It may not even play anymore. Yet my DVD copy of Scalps, which is DVD-R, still looks like I pulled it out of the pack, today for the first time. So yeah, leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. Is it bothering you? Is it a problem to you? Do you think it's okay? Will you accept DVD BDRs in your collection? Will you do that if it means that it's all you're going to get? Or do you still think, it's BS and you still want to press a copy? So yeah, let me know. And also like and subscribe. It's probably the longest video I've done forever. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully y'all get what I'm throwing. It's just a little subject for debate. I wonder if more companies, like maybe even Troma and stuff, may actually go down the path of putting out, BDRs, DVD-Rs. It's hard to say. I have no proof of that, but it's just an observation, just an idea. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about it, and we'll discuss it.